Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody.
Hari Om.
So we are now on the 15th chapter, no? Anybody has noted down anything about 15th chapter? I think sufficient homework is not being done. What is the title of 15th chapter? Messenger of God. Yes, okay, then. What are the learnings? No.
Possess and not get possessed by.
Possess things, not be possessed, okay? There were several tests. One of the tests was this. But before that, you remember they were asked the tickets. So without tickets they cannot go. Before the Howrah station, the ticket inspector, Anglo-Indian friend, entered the carriage and demanded of the sadhus their tickets. The sadhus had, of course, to confess that they possessed no tickets. At this, the strict ticket collector asked the sadhus to alight since, he said, it was against rules to travel by train without ticket. This order was promptly obeyed by both the sadhus. It was all Ram's wish. Adherence to, though they don't have money, and because they don't have money, they cannot have tickets. But still, we don't feel Papa is pleading, We take it that an Uttama Bhakta should become an Uttama citizen. There are rules, statutes, everything. As far as possible, we should try to go by the statutes. That's why we can take it that neither Papa nor the sadhuram, they pleaded to the ticket inspector to allow them to go. As soon as the ticket collector said you cannot travel without tickets, they immediately got down. Adherence to the rules and regulations. And no regret, no grumbling, no complaint. First point for all of us. As far as possible, we should go by the rules and regulations that are governing the society. And then, what happened? The time was about 8 o'clock in the night, and the station was a small one. They were made to stand near the gate until the train departed, when the attention of the Anglo-Indian friend was drawn to the sadhus again. Coming to them, he ordered them to sit down. At once the sadhus sat down. No, not there, said the friend, and pointed his finger a few yards to his left. The sadhus instantly got up, going to the place indicated, sat there. Not there, not there, cried again the Christian friend, who seemed to possess a sense of humor. This side, pointing, get up, Quick, sit here. The sadhus did as they were bid and occupied the new place pointed out. Again, for the third time, a command came from the friend for a move to another place, which was also immediately obeyed. Both the sadhus were moving about in perfect agreement. When they sat down at the last mentioned place, indicated by the Anglo-Indian friend, the sadhuram, grumbling, remarked, "Swami, this is a strange man dealing with us. His only intention seems to be to tease us." Now, the very important lesson Papa teaches us. Even a minutest happening in our life, it should be linked to God dimension. If our mind is colored that what they do is wrong, that means grumbling and complaint. That means we become unaware of the God dimension behind it. A simple but a profound lesson. That is how Papa answered. "No, brother, you mistake the kindness of this friend. We had been so long sitting in the train, and as a result our legs had become benumbed. To remove the stiffness and to induce brisker circulation of blood, the kind friend makes us walk this side and that, and asks us to sit and stand. It is all for good. Ram be praised for his goodness and love." Not only the grossest thing, even a small incident like this, where you can say why he is torturing us. You and I will definitely say he is unnecessarily torturing us. But Papa did not. And when he wrote this IQG, and when he makes us to go through it, we should take it as a clue. That not in the traditional form of approach in spirituality, in everything. Normally while chanting Ram Nam, while doing bhajan, while doing swadhyay, by going to meet a Mahatma, by sitting before a Mahatma, all these things, we say we should be very careful. No. In every activity of ours, and when in every activity of ours, when we see the finger of God, we cannot but be positive. It's a tall order, no doubt about it. Absolutely no question. Normally, our ego, our sense of individuality, the me and mine will definitely oppose this, resist this. Because we will name it or we will put the label, he is torturing us deliberately. So having read this, we should try. Because he was able to scale the heights even before starting, he was able to bring in the God dimension in all that happens. That is why he was able to take it in a positive way. So the first lesson is we should go as far as possible by the rules and regulations of the land, law-abiding citizen. Uttama Bhakta should become an Uttama citizen. And number two, whatever that happens, apparently it may be a negative one, apparently. But there also we should try our level best to bring in the God dimension, that there must be some purpose behind this. And when we go and try to ascertain the purpose, we will immediately change the label from negative to positive. So we should appreciate the practical gain even in uncomfortable situations. And then, this reply did not seem to satisfy the sadhuram, who said, your philosophy is very hard for a poor sadhu like myself to properly understand. Actually, we are represented by the sadhuram. We also cannot understand, because we go by our rights and wrongs based upon from the individual level. This is what is important. When we view it from the individual level, we are right. But when we go a little higher than the individual level, then we find everything is right. Very difficult for us to digest. That is the purpose for which he is now motivating us to go through this again and again, not as an academic exercise, but as really a manual where whenever we are in adverse circumstances, apparently adverse circumstances, we will try to convert it into a positive one. And then, during this conversation, the Christian friend had disappeared. Now he returned with a bullseye lantern and holding it straight toward the sadhus, made the light fall first on the faces of the sadhus, one after the other, and then all over them and around them. By the help of the light, he made the discovery of the bag and brass pot of the sadhuram and a small bundle of books and a tiny aluminium pot of Ramdas. See the way in which everything is explained, We can see, the graphic. Now I will have this. Saying thus, the friend took the brass pot of the sadhuram and placed it beside him, at which action the poor sadhuram turned quite pale. We don't have to see the sadhuram in a different state. We are like sadhuram. We will also be like this only. The only possession is that, what is it? Copper pot, brass pot. If that is also taken, so he turned quite pale. Now the friend put his bag towards him, opening it, examined its content, but finding nothing worth taking, handed it back. Next, what have you got? He asked his attention and now directed towards Ramdas. Meanwhile, Ramdas had placed his pot and the parcel of books in front of the friend. Brother, answered Ramdas, these 2 articles are yours. You are quite welcome to have them, since Ramdas never owned them as his at any time. They belong to anyone who demands them. A profound philosophy, no? That is why somebody said, possess things, not be possessed by it. Right from the moment he took the vow, from that moment he has never owned anything. This word owned, that we have to give emphasis. We may possess. You give me a bag, I am carrying it. You say you can use it. And after some time, the bag is taken back by somebody else. If you own the bag, you will feel bad. It may be difficult for us to practice, but it is the truth. Then our mind becomes free. In the sadhuram's case, he took the brass pot. But here, before his searching, Papa places everything, whatever he had, and tells these words. Now, these two articles are yours. You are quite welcome to have them. Since Ramdas never owned them as his at any time, they belong to anyone who demands them. We will all remember another similar episode in Papa's life, described in the Vision of God, where in Kasargod, when the devotees provided everything for him, one night one sadhu came, and later on he started demanding one by one, and everything was given, so excepting the loin cloth, everything was given. Everybody thought somebody has come and taken it away, stolen. No. Papa immediately said it is not the thief, If you remember the words, the Lord has given, the Lord has taken it. So we may be possessing it, but mentally not owning it. That's why we say each chapter, when we go through with this idea, we find so many clues, so many tools. That is why we say it is a manual. We should pick this and put it in our bag. So whenever we need for our life, we can make use of it. So three points now we have covered. And then what happened? The small pot is not wanted. The brass one is more suitable. Now what is this you have in this parcel? On uncovering, his sight fell upon the pocket-sized New Testament on the very top of the packet. Pulling it out, he looked on the title in gilt letters, New Testament. What have you to do with this book? Everything, brother, replied Ramdas. Do you believe in Christ? Why not? Christ is also a messenger of God, come for the salvation of mankind. This script at once touched the heart of the friend. Coming close to Ramdas, he said, Master, kindly pardon your servant who gave you a good deal of trouble without knowing you. Saying thus, he led both inside the station, offering 2 chairs, made them to sit down. The brass pot was, of course, returned to the sadhuram, which brought color and light back to his sorrowful face. The Anglo-Indian friend became very kind and offered to get them tea, etc., all of which Ramdas declined with thanks. Look here, Master, another train is due in about half an hour. On its arrival, I shall see that both of you are comfortably seated in, and then you can proceed to Howrah. Again, your servant regrets very much the treatment meted out to you and sues for its pardon. Now you see, there were no elaborate dialogue by Papa or by the ticket collector. The moment he saw the book, to which he gives lot of importance, and when he saw it in the possession of Papa, and when he asked what this book has to do with you, then he says he is also the messenger of God. Then suddenly he felt, I should not have meted out all these. Anyone who is familiar with a particular line of approach, when that is seen in somebody, it is normal. We have seen many devotees when they come and when they go to Bhojanashala. You know, in Bhojanashala there are a number of photos of many Mahatmas. Because Papa always says, Guru is one and he comes in different forms. So any devotee who comes and brings a photo, it is accommodated there. But the moment this devotee, a devotee of some Mahatma, when he comes and when he goes there and when he sees, an inexplicable joy wells up in their heart. Many instances are there. Then they immediately come and say, only in this ashram we find this. Because when we are attached to one particular school of thought, and when we see the image of that person, of that Mahatma, and we find it here, and when they know that it is given equal importance like any other Mahatmas, their whole attitude changes. And no lecture. And then, O Ram, O Christ, thou hast this strange way of testing thy humble slave, Papa's reply. O Ram, thou art a mystery. Thou art love, kindness itself. He who trusts thee, O Ram, is sure of thy entire support. This is all one can know of thee, and that is sufficient. To understand thy ways is not only impossible, but also unnecessary for thy humble devotees. This is one more important point there.
Very important. Instead of analyzing or doing.
Correct. To understand thy ways is not only impossible, but also unnecessary for the humble devotees. To bask in the sunshine of thy infinite love is in itself the highest happiness. The child asks for the love of the mother, gets it, that is satisfied. Where is then room to ask for anything more than this? This again, it's a monologue, it's a dialogue with Ram. What was going on in his mind?
Not analyzing anything and accepting itself is surrender.
Correct. No, correct. In spiritual matters, this is the mantra. Accept everything as they are. But it is difficult for us, why, It is okay for Papa because he has reached the goal before he started. We should not forget this. We have not surrendered. In spite of our hearing for 40, 50 years, we have not surrendered. So that is why we find it difficult. But during this centenary year, Papa wants us to develop this surrender by repeatedly hearing about the various aspects of happenings in the life.
Yeah.
Again and again and again and again and again. Elsewhere he said, his imaginary faculty, what is that?
Imaginary faculty.
Imaginative faculty was absent. Meaning what? No analysis. Because there is no need for analyzing it. God does everything for the best. And everything is happening by His will. That was his realization. That was not a philosophy for him. That was his realization, which he had right before he started this. We are only reading and understanding it. So we pray to him. You keep on hammering on this. At least you make us to develop this attitude of surrender. 1%, 2%, 5%, something like that.
Implicit obedience.
Huh?
Implicit obedience.
Implicit obedience, correct.
Swamiji, sorry, I come long distance from the subject. Only thing, small doubt came in my mind. And this railway people, they cannot demand the item. No, only they can check up whether the passengers are giving ticket. No, they simply taking the possession and all. No, the doubt came in my mind. The ticket holder or everybody else, they can only check the passenger that they are holding the ticket or not. They cannot take their possession. No? So it's my doubt.
We are not sitting here to understand what they did, We are trying to understand what is the lesson we are taking.
The government is saying, it's not, okay, that's why I told you, the doubt came in mind.
No, they are absolutely right. They are absolutely right. They have been. Suppose you are a government employee, you are the employee, you have to discharge the duties of that department, We are paid for it. We are responsible for it. So we cannot question that. The only thing is...
The duty is only to check whether the passenger are taking the ticket or not. That is my doubt. I am not telling that I am correct or not correct. My doubt I am raising you. That's all.
So our point is the surrender aspect. We try to develop the surrender aspect as much as possible. That is the main thing. Otherwise, all these things would not have happened at all in all these chapters. And every time he renews it, by an inner dialogue with him. Otherwise, we may not be able to understand. His attitude of surrender is brought out in a beautiful form, in the form of the inner dialogue. And the dialogue says, "Thou hast a strange way of testing thy humble slave. O Ram, thou art a mystery, but thou art love, kindness itself. He who trusts thee, O Ram, is sure of thy entire support." See, what all dimensions, He who trusts thee O Ram, is sure of the entire support. This is all one can know of thee, and that is sufficient. To understand thy ways is not only impossible, but also unnecessary for thy humble devotees. To bask in the sunshine of thy infinite love is in itself the greatest happiness. The child asks for the love of the mother, gets it, is satisfied. Where is then room to ask for anything more than this? We have to reread this statement, because we will immediately grumble, complain, our rights and wrongs will come, our likes and dislikes will come, and then we'll miss the cream. Miss the cream contained in every act. Surrender? Don't worry about these words, Realizing means experience, okay? Realizing the presence of God, that means surrender. Don't worry about all this. Whatever you understand when you hear, that is enough. In due time, the train arrived, and the Christian friend, according to his promise, secured comfortable seats for the sadhus The train started and reached Howrah at 10 p.m. So that is how the chapter closes. So how many points were covered? Huh?
We should go with law and order.
We should. Yes. First thing is we should go by the law and order. Whatever rules and regulations are there, we must obey. Then. Ah.
The indwelling reality in Swami Ramdas and the Anglo-Indian ticket collector is established by Christ.
The Anglo-Indian is established in Christ.
The connection between the indwelling reality in both has been established by Christ.
It was established in him by Christ, the indwelling reality in both.
Quite right. Absolutely right. Good. Then.
God dimension.
Be not possessed by them. I say something. Possessed things. Be not possessed by them.
1 minute.
And when the time comes that you have to part with them, give it away with equal joy.
Things you possess, but things should not possess you. When
Don't
time
have
comes,
the
give
sense
it
of
with joy.
possession.
Yeah. Possession. Yeah. Correct. Then.
And he said positive turn to negative.
Negative become positive. Yeah. Yes. Then. In our case, the negative will become positive only if we remember all these things, Otherwise, now we immediately after this chapter is over, this will be forgotten, no? Unless and until we do some exercise by which this stays with us. When something happens, you must be immediately able to connect. In IQG, in Inquest of God, this is how he reacted to it. Let me try at least in some form, 1%, 2% to it. This sort of conviction or this sort of resolve should develop in our heart. We are not just going through the text again and again for the purpose of going through again and again. We are trying to pick out some tools from all these things and keep it with us. And when such incidents happen or anything happens, we must be able to take out the necessary tool from the bag and then successfully handle the same. This must be clear in everybody's mind. That is why we are going through this. We must have gone through this many a time, but still we are going through it again and again because we are forgetting it.
That promptness should come, no?
That promptness should come.
It should come means we must. Every time when we take to some spiritual discipline, this should be writ large in our mind. That ultimately it should zero to remembering him. And whenever we forget, we should be able to immediately bring back. We might slip, we might forget, we might fall. Agreed. But in the shortest possible time, we should be able to pull us up.
Yes, Swamiji. Now at least post-facto analysis, we understand where we have gone wrong.
Correct.
What should have been done.
Correct. So in every chapter there are some points. After 2 or 3 days again we will go through the whole thing, because what we want is not the narrative that is in this book. What is it that I can take it to lead a God-centered life? Now I am leading a self-centered life, knowingly or unknowingly. How I shift myself to God-centered life, at the same time not running away from any field of activities God has given. In the field He has given, So far I have been identifying myself too much. But instead of that, I will try to identify him along with the sense of individuality. There should be a technique by which we were now exclusively reacting from our individual level, but before we react, we are trying to see the other level also, God dimension level, and not running away from any field, not changing colors of our dress, not moving from any to a different place, but in the place He has given, in where He has placed, we will try to implement, we will try to translate this into our life. So these are the lessons that are given. Then, what's the time now? 4:40.
Can we take into cognition all schools of thought? Swamiji?
Pardon?
Can we take into cognition all schools of thought except
Yeah.
Because Christ has been mentioned as the messenger of God. So all isms can be taken like that.
Yeah. But when the essence is taken, we will not give lectures, you know?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yes.
Yeah, in a simple word He has given, and that was enough. That was instrumental in transforming him. And he also did not ask for any other explanation. It's also another valid point. It's good that you raised. When from our heart, when we say that he is also a messenger of God, Papa meant every word, no? That was enough.
Swami, after attending this satsang and going through this request of God and all that, slowly enabling us to face any hard situation, which is feeling that
IQG is helping us to face hard situations.
Correct. That is important. Any type of situations. Anything more from this chapter? Anything new? Anything more?
Bringing the God dimension, Swamiji, even in uncomfortable situations.
Even in uncomfortable situation. Yeah, that's. We are now trying to see it from our level, no?
Yes, sir.
In his case, there is no uncomfortable situation.
Yes.
He doesn't see, that is why he does not look at it as uncomfortable. To him, everything is comfortable. Because everything happens only by his will. And it is for good.
Swamiji, my Krishna was to explain to me, those days the Hindu sadhus were harassed. That is the answer I got. Those days, Hindu sadhus were harassed particularly. That is the answer I got from Krishna Bhai.
Okay.
That is why we are taking this position Krishna.
In Papa's case, everything is happening only by God's will, no? So we are trying to understand how we can make it as a reality in our life. No.
In a very soft and nice manner, Papa, in a very soft and very pleasant manner, Papa has showed the Anglo-Indian ticket inspector that Christ can be worshipped even by those who are not Christians.
Mm. To him, everyone is a form of God, no?
Yes.
At different times and different places, he comes out in different forms and suitable to the audience then prescribes them a method, that's all. So he doesn't find there is any difference between this. Holding on to his own convictions. He never diluted his convictions. He could scale the heights by intensely remembering him for nearly 22 hours in the 24 hours of a day, and not merely chanting. At the same time, we can say meditative chanting, if that word can be used like that. That means there is a harmonious blend of meditation and chanting. The more and more we should go back to these words. That he was able to master this, he was able to scale the heights with the help of intense sadhana, without any intermediary. So he was able to directly establish the contact with the indwelling spirit. Though the indwelling spirit and the sense of individuality are intertwined, he was able to maintain that relationship and at the same time becoming aware that everything is happening only by that power. We have to plumb deep again. We have to plumb deep again. You lost your network connection. Oh, when the connection goes, you. Hari Om, yes.
Hari Om. Hari Om, please. Ramdas ji, Krishna Bhai ji, please switch off the audio, please.
There is some disturbance because of the internet.
Switch off their audio, they are going on talking.
Please switch off your audio, please.
No, they are not.
Switch off your mic. Switch off your mic.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Where were we? So we should always remember this fact. Prior to starting this in IQG, Papa got established through meditative chanting. Yesterday we found out, from 1920 to 1922, 3 years, okay. Within the 3 years, he was able to get himself established in it. and to make it available to people like us, He attempted to take up this IQG. For him, it was not necessary, we can find out now. Every moment, every action, every turn of events are linked to God and God alone. So he is doing it for our purpose, so we should make the maximum advantage of it. Elaborately, he discusses chapter by chapter, but this salient point should not be lost sight of. That he was 100% thoroughly established in the truth that everything happens only by his will, and that is for ultimate good. That is the cream. So we are not viewing it from the incident level, from the episode level. If we are viewing it from that, we get stuck there. He is only, just like in puja, we are offering the flowers, But ultimately, whatever may be the attributes we are bringing, we are giving it to the chosen deity. We may be bringing 108 times or 1008 times, but to the same, in order to know that the chosen deity is not to be limited in that form, and also about your concept about that form. So many dimensions are brought in the way of archanas, but everything goes only to that. We may be repeating it through so many forms, but we do the same thing, offering that flower at the holy feet of the Ishtadevata. We are not repeating the same one. So the idea is that by bringing all these attributes, we try to expand and try to see him in everything, not merely there. For example, when we take up Archana for Shirdi Sai Baba, Om Sri Sainathaya Namaha, Lakshmi Narayana Namaha, Krishna Rama Shiva Marutyadi Rupaya Namaha, Shesha Shayini Namaha, Godavari Data Shiradi Vasini Namaha, Bhakta Hridayaya Namaha, Sarvahrid Vasini Namaha, like this, We may be bringing it out 108 times in different ways, but we are offering only to him. So similarly, God is behind everything, though he is bringing about so many incidents and episodes, so many tests, so many trials, which normally we label it as negative or positive, but everything ultimately goes to him and him alone. So somehow we should try to keep on drilling this into our mind. Then only the journey with Papa in IQG, it becomes 100% beneficial to us. Are we clear about it?
Yes, Swamiji. Very, very clear, sir.
Very good, very good. So we will take up the next 16th chapter tomorrow. So anything else?
Only one more point we are getting. This DDR, inspector, railway employees are going out of the way to help Papa, because when Papa's inside through this email, everything is fast in line. That we can understand something.
They are going out of the way to help Papa, requesting him to get in and all those things. So that shows how Papa touched him.
The transformation. Immediately after that, he felt guilty. No, I shouldn't have done. So he is also a noble person. All are noble. The nobility is touched and kindled Yes, one more lesson. Good that you raised. When we try to bring God dimension, automatically it touches and kindles the goodness in others, which is goodness is godliness. Same thing happened to the two boys, you remember?
In the train.
Train. Same thing. Not that Papa wanted to transform them, but because of his very nature, the words came out with a clear-cut, solid feeling that it is God who is acting through them, and it is for good. So when he got thoroughly established in it, there is no problem. So 15 chapters, technically we have covered 15 chapters. But have we covered any chapter? That we have to ask ourselves. No, it's a tough job. Nothing,
Yes.
So we would have covered 15 chapters, reading, analyzing, going through it.
Not able to hear, Swamiji.
Not able to hear. Kya hua?
Audio.
Okay. No. Sorry. Yeah. There was a disconnection due to the web current. So we keep on praying to him. You are making us to go through it again and again. But please prompt us, motivate us to bring in your dimension. Though, Farguni Ben wanted what? Yes.
You want to tell something?
Farguni Ben.
No, Swamiji, by mistake, sorry.
By mistake.
By mistake. It is not by mistake. Nothing happens by mistake.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
But also listening to when I was putting it back. Maybe that emotions put my mic on.
So let us try to pray deeply, Through in these 15 chapters, there are one point is there in everything. That means connecting ourselves to the indwelling and all-pervading spirit. Connecting ourselves to the indwelling, all-pervading spirit. That we have to keep on hammering. The other episodes are only appendage, but this is the cream behind every chapter. When Mataji wanted us to read 11 times, we all read 11 times. It takes about 4 hours. None of us thought that it should be read with this bhavana. Many people will go religiously and go inform Mataji that they have finished reading. What happened? We are there in the same platform. But this time, no. When he made us to think about the Shatabdi, centenary of sannyas, he touched and kindled in all of us equally that there should be a conscious effort on our part to understand this theme, that whatever is happening only by his will, and that is for our ultimate good. This is the one thing in which we have to get stabilized, established. So we will direct all our efforts, all our prayer, all our Ramnam to this. Every day we will repeat this. Kindly enable us to get established in the truth that you are there, right from the minutest to the grossest. Okay. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om